You're listening to Two Guys Talking Wine with Michael Pinkus and André Proulx.
Michael.
André, you're further away on the table tonight.
Well, I mean, we're trying to fix the mic bleed because you have a loud voice and I have a loud voice.
And you call it mic bleed?
Yes, it's when your voice bleeds into the other microphones.
Okay. All right.
So you and I have spent an unusual amount of time this year and the end of last year talking about brown spirits.
Yes. From a guy who I would think 7 years ago would not drink the stuff to somebody who is now drinking more of it. And I'll have, I'll have like an Irish whiskey every so often, like at night.
It's been fun watching the conversion because the last time we talked about spirits, I opened up a couple of standards that are on my shelf at all times. One is the Nikka Yoichi single malt, and the other is the Nikka From the Barrel, $64.95. Actually, while you were in Italy, you had me pick up a bottle for you.
Yes, I was really excited, and actually, the first time I ever tried Japanese whiskey was actually in Italy, of all places.
In Italy, of all places.
Yeah, I was wandering through, and we were just looking for, say, a bottle of Irish or something, and right at the bottom shelf in the bottom corner was a bottle of Nikka Day.
Okay.
And I went, I think I've heard of this. I would like to try this. And the price was, reasonable in euros, obviously. And
Yep.
I was like, okay. And tried it. Loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Right. I love that was your first experience with Japanese whiskey. So if people haven't guessed, I'm going to bring our guests on right now, and then I'm going to share my story about my first experience with Japanese whiskey. We're joined by the global director of Nikka, Koji, and the export manager, Kuma. And gentlemen, thank you very much, first off, for having shorter versions of your names so we don't ruin your beautiful language. And thank you very much for joining the Two Guys Talking Wine.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
So I've been curious about Japanese whiskey pretty much since I've been legal drinking age. I was lucky enough, my brother was teaching English in Japan in 2008. And when I got off the plane, I found the drinking laws in Japan fascinating. I actually think the way Japan handles drinking laws makes a lot more sense than it is here. So you can have an open container in a car. Like if you're hanging out with your friends and you're going out for a party, you can do that, but it's zero tolerance for the driver. Yeah. And you could also have open containers in public. So I decided as a Canadian and as 23 to be a little reckless. I bought a small bottle of Suntory whiskey. I bought it because of the movie Lost in Translation, the great Bill Murray scene of him doing the commercial, and I enjoyed sipping it on the train from my brother's town, Tatabayashi, to the airport to pick up another friend at 10 in the morning.
How big was this bottle that you were sipping from the bottle?
It was a 375 ml. It was a half bottle. Actually, I still have
like a beer bottle, I think.
Yeah, but I got a couple of looks from the salarymen on the train who saw me drinking whiskey at 10 in the morning on the train. It was pretty good.
Is that usual in Japan that we have somebody drinking whiskey at 10 in the morning? I'm asking both of our guests as I get a laugh on my left and
I got looks on the train. I got looks and smiles.
Oh, they're giving you looks now, André. So
maybe the people drink at night, then until in the morning.
Got it. Okay, so hair of the dog, I guess, André. Maybe they just thought you were drunk.
Yeah, could be. But I mean, I've just been fascinated about whiskey since then. I think I sort of forgot a bit about. I picked up the odd bottle of Japanese whiskey here or there, but when Joel Wilcox of Woodman brought me a bottle of Yoichi, I can still vividly remember the first time that I tasted that whiskey. And you and we've lamented quite a bit how good Scotch whiskey is now gotten so expensive. And when you're talking about Lagavulin 16, which is for many people like a benchmark for quality, it's almost $200 for the 16 year. And when I tasted the Yoichi, and this is no shade at Lagavulin for the Lagavulin lovers, but I found the flavor profile to be much more integrated, easier to drink, smoother on the finish, and it was half the price. So before we get into talking about the individual whiskeys, now that I've told everybody that I'm a big fan of the brand, Can some of you share a bit of a history, a bit of a backstory about the brand and how it came to be?
When you want to know about Japanese whiskey, you first should know about Nikka, because like our founder Masataka Taketsuru, he actually started all the Japanese whiskey industry. He was born to a sake producer on 1894. So, and he was the first person who traveled to Scotland to study how to make authentic whiskey. And in short, he brought all the technique back into Japan through his experience in Scotland. So not only that he is a founder of Nikka whiskey, but also he's known as the father of Japanese whiskey.
Oh, wow.
So I have today we had a notebook. Koji, do you have a notebook, like a Taketsuru notebook? So like what he has done in Scotland was that he wrote down everything he studied at the distillery in Scotland, which is like a couple of 3 distilleries, Longmorn Distillery, Bowness Distillery, and Hazelburn Distillery. He put a note on everything he learned, and on the page 50, let me show you that.
So just to paint a picture, we've just been handed copies of. So these are copies of the notebook that your founder
Wrote,
took.
yes.
And about what year was it that this took place?
19. That was around 1918.
1918.
Yeah.
Yeah, from 1918 to 1920, he was in Scotland to learn how to make whiskey.
Wow.
So,
yeah, he had a big ambition to make his own spirits in the future, because he was born into a sake producer, and he joined a company called Setsu Shuzo originally. And since he joined, he was very talented on making the liqueurs, which the company was specialized in. And because he was so talented, he was like kind of selected as a person to go to Scotland, learn about whiskey, and bring like those techniques into Japan. Because at the time, nobody in Japan really knew how to make whiskey. So like whiskey, there was a whiskey in Japan at the time, but it was just a fake whiskey. It's like a spirits with flavor added. So it didn't really follow the whiskey production method. And that's why he was sent by himself to learn and bring everything back into Japan.
Interesting.
Wow, that is pretty neat.
I mean, would you be able to know like what it was about Scotland that pulled him? Because like if you didn't have much knowledge about whiskey in Japan, like what was it that called him to make him decide to go to Scotland?
I think like at the time it was Scotch whiskey was well known as some kind of authentic whiskey for Japanese people. So the president of the company he joined, he knew Scotch whiskey will be the next booming category in Japanese industry. That's why he thought Scotland will be the best place for him to learn how to make whiskey. However, he didn't really support anything on site. So like Taketsuru, our founder, he went to Scotland with just a piece of paper, which is a diploma. So that was a bit of a story of why he traveled to Scotland.
I love that.
So I guess you said that obviously that Scotch whiskey was popular in Japan. How popular has Japanese whiskey become in Japan? Or is Scotch still as popular and Japanese is below it? Or has Japanese whiskey risen above?
About current industry, like now, it's like Japanese whiskey is dominating in the market. So like Suntory and Nikka are the two leading brands in Japan. And as far as I remember, like around 2015, there were only like 10 to 20 registered distilleries, like whiskey distilleries in Japan. But now it got jumped to around 200.
Jesus.
Wow. Well, okay. So this is something where I hope this isn't too geeky of a question, but like one thing I found fascinating when I visited in 2008 was seeing I guess the consolidation that like all these brands are owned by larger companies. Like I understand Nikka is owned by Asahi. So how does this work with the 200 new distillers? Are they all owned or managed by parent companies, or do they operate independently? Like how does it work?
Majority now it's independent because of recently Japanese whiskey is kind of booming. So many new independent distillers started to join the industry, but some of them are shochu brewer or sake brewer. So not 100% from beginners. They already know how to make some kind of alcohol.
I guess before we break into some of these whiskeys and give them a taste, I'm new to the spirits realm relatively. I'm only about 7 years in, so hopefully these are all to my taste. What is the base of Japanese whiskey? What is the grain that is used most?
Mostly out of our expressions, like which we gonna taste today, like Yoichi and Miyagikyo. This comes from 100% malted barley.
And I'll bet you there's some other grains in these too. For your question, Michael, like not to like walk it back, it'll probably make sense whiskey by whiskey, as opposed to just one.
I just want to know what mostly the bases are. If it's barley.
Well, because like with both Canadian and American whiskey, like it can be a mix of malt and wheat and barley and corn, depending on what's going on. I guess the question I have that's sort of a larger question about identity, right? Is like your founder went and learned how to distill in Scotland, and like I said, when I took a sip of the Yoichi, immediately like my heart went to Isla. What is the identity of Japanese whiskey, and how are you setting yourselves apart from Scotland with what you're doing?
I think the Japanese whiskey is more weight on the delicate part of taste and balance of flavor, and also this is done by mainly blending skills, because traditionally Japanese distilleries we do not do cask exchange. We do in-house. We blend, whiskey from many, sources by ourselves. So a blending skill of Japanese distillers is relatively developed.
So I don't know if this is known at all, but he went to Scotland. But which Scottish producers did he visit?
Yeah, so he did a apprenticeship at the 3 distilleries called Longmorn and Bowness and Hazelburn distilleries. So,
sorry, are those you said Loch Lomond?
Longmorn, Bowness, and Hazelburn.
Oh, there we go.
So I don't think they exist.
See, that was the next question I was going to have, is whether these distillers are still working. I think that was the question that you were kind of.
I was kind of hoping for like Glenfiddich or
Glen
Morangi.
Going to be like a lineage that carries along. So,
but interesting. Yeah. Well, I thought that was kind of cool. Okay, so he's gone to he went to defunct distillers. So now you can't even determine whether he was able to, copy their styles. So pretty interesting.
So maybe we should move to start tasting some of the whiskeys. I don't know where you want to start.
Yeah, thank you. So I think maybe we're going to start from the 2 single malts. So just talking about quick history about the brand and our founder's philosophy. He, during his time in Scotland and trying to be, when he set up Nikka Whiskey, he had like 4 key things, like key important points he set to make authentic whiskey. The first thing was a terroir. So like Yoichi, the latitude-wise is pretty similar to Scottish condition. So weather-wise, temperature-wise, it's very similar to Scottish temperature and climate. So he wanted to follow that as a first most important thing. The second thing was to make a variety of whiskies. So as Koji mentioned, we don't really trade a cask between competitors. So we have to make a variety of whiskies in order to have a variety of expressions. That was the second thing, important thing he said. The third thing was the grain whiskey, especially distilled from the Coffey stills, which is a traditional continuous, an old type of the continuous still, which is used for the Nikka From the Barrel. He fell in love with the Coffey stills when he studied how to make grain whiskies at the Bonus distillery.
Sorry to interrupt. Just to make it clear to the people listening, it's coffee, not like you drink. It's spelled Coffey. And that's different than a column still?
It's a column still, but it's an old type of
column still. Okay.
Believe it or not, I saw one of these in Italy while I was there just this last couple months ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
it's a kind of an old type, which makes a really unique, nice flavor into the final liquid.
Yeah, they were doing a grappa through a coffee
interesting
still. So yeah, and I tasted it. It was very good.
So how's the flavor profile of a coffee still different than I guess a column still, which is what you'd typically see at and we saw that at Lasarango as well. So how would the difference in the flavor profile be?
So the coffee stills, because it's not perfect, it at the same time it creates a kind of a real sweetness coming from the ingredient. So we also have coffee grain, coffee malt in our expressions. You might not find it in Ontario yet. Sometimes you find it, but
sometimes.
Yeah. And it's more those are made from the older distillate come from the coffee still. You'll find a nice great sweetness coming from the ingredient, which is a coffee grain comes from the corn, the coffee malt comes from the malted barley with a coffee still, which creates a extra sweetness, like a toffee taste. So on the final liquid, you'll find a clear difference. But even with the distillate, when you compare side by side, there is a clear difference between the distillate from the coffee still and the distillate from the modern continuous still.
I will attest to that, because I tasted a grappa, as I said, from a coffee still, and it didn't want to make me hurl the glass across the room. It was actually quite nice. So there's a fourth point. We have terroir, variety of whiskeys, grain from coffee stills, and then there was a fourth point. I do want to catch this before we go anywhere.
Yeah, so the final thing was the blending skill. So our founder Taketsuru, he's the first master blender in the company. Blending makes variety. And even with our single malt comes with around 20 different batches into the final liquid. So all our expressions require high, like a blending skills, to make the liquid better. So those are the 4 important points our founder set to make an authentic whiskey.
I think that's neat that they use 20 different parts,
Components.
barrels, whatever components that go into the, and it comes down to like same with for wine, right? How many different barrels do you use to make a blend? And even if it's a straight 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, you may end up tasting 50 barrels and going, these 20 barrels are the ones that are going to come in and make our reserve, and the rest of it's going to make the standard version. So
well, and it's interesting as well because earlier in the year, I spoke with Dr. Don Livingmore from JP Wiser's, and he talked about the importance of blending as a skill in crafting whiskey, which is fascinating because when I was in Kentucky for my honeymoon visiting distilleries, they don't talk as much about the blend. I think it's more they rely on the power of those charred barrels. I mean, it's and this is when we're like Michael. I don't think it's a better or worse situation. It's just a different philosophy.
different philosophy to make.
Kind of neat to see. It's kind of see the parallels. But as someone who already liked your brand, to hear that your philosophy parallels what Canadian whiskey makers are doing just gives me more reasons to like what you guys are doing.
And so, which one are we going to start with?
Maybe today let's follow the history.
Okay.
So we start from a little stronger, smoky type of the single malt, which is called single malt Yoichi.
So this is the one you've tried, Andre, the
Yes.
Yoichi. Okay.
This is not just tried. I drink this regularly.
You
I
bathe
keep
in
this in my house. I don't bathe in it. But on my way here, I realized that I was empty at home, so I had to go and buy a bottle.
Oh, okay. Well, you do actually have a fresh bottle on the table. Very interesting. As whiskey producers, do you also taste other whiskeys from Japan just to see, how you guys are still stacking up, or are you comfortable with the way Nikka is going?
Personally, I do.
Yeah.
Because whenever we talk about the brand, we should know the difference between other brands. And that's mostly what our blenders do as well. So they always check.
I have some questions about the flavor profile, but I retained no Japanese when I went to Japan. My brother taught me a few things, but there is one word that I remember, and I think it's kind of neat because of what this is called. So
better say it right.
when something's delicious, it's oishi.
Oishi.
So you can
You got it.
So you can remember this whiskey because it's, if you say it in a French way, it'd be Yoichi.
Okay. All right.
Oishi.
It's easy to remember that this
Similar,
whiskey is delicious.
Yes.
So you have the peat. For me, when I tasted this whiskey, I was shocked at how well integrated the smoke was in this. Because if you buy a cheap Islay Scotch, you usually get that ashiness on the finish. You get a harsh finish. And this is incredibly smooth. So my two questions are: one, what is the peat that you're using to add the smoke to this? And two, why is this so damn smooth?
I think that the smooth, I think that comes from the blending of a delicate blending of different batches, and also the combination. So any brands can make peaty whiskey from the peaty malt. However, for Yoichi, do you want to talk about the direct coal fire?
Yeah. So Yoichi, it's located in very north part of Japan, North Island, and that's by the sea, and that gives a briny taste, and also one of the characteristic of a distillation is direct coal fire distillation, which is yes, we are still using this method. When Masataka founder was learning whiskey in Scotland, that method is quite common, but now it's almost very difficult to find. I still use this method. That's the temperature to distill is very high, like more than 1,000 degrees. So that gives quite bold flavor and smokiness in the flavor. That's the reason.
And it's called Yoichi because the grain comes from the region of Yoichi?
The grain, the malted barley.
We are not using grain. It's malt, 100% malt.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
so this is an expression of terroir.
And just to explain, the malted barley comes from Scotland.
Okay, the malted barley comes from Scotland.
So this is off topic, but on the Japanese whiskey regulation, the ingredient itself, it's I think it's not required there, and because it's like scarcity as well, or like a malted barley. It's we first started importing. First started in a Kyoto, but it didn't. Our founder didn't. So, for the heavy tea, like kidney balls, ranging from no kidney ball to kidney ball, we mostly go from there. So, okay.
Yeah, and then we've talked about this on the podcast before, that when you're making spirits, philosophically, it's different than making a wine. Like when you make wine, you lean into the terroir, you lean into the vintage variation, and you lean into it tasting a little different every year. When you're making a spirit, like for you guys, it's critical that your customer, whether they're in Toronto or Sydney or Paris or Bologna, when they pick up a bottle of Yoichi, it tastes the same every time. Yeah. And I think that's just an important thing to share about, like, there's no one philosophy that applies to making a beverage that is the right way. It's just the way it's done.
So this is the one that we tried at your house at one point. Okay. So
it definitely tastes better though today because we're with you guys.
What I'm surprised by, if I can talk about it for a moment.
Well, we put a bit of water in it when we did it, or a bit of ice.
Correct.
I usually drink this with ice.
So I hate peated whiskey. I'm going to start right there. I'm going to come out right and say it. I go, I had a cousin who is a huge Scotch fan. I used to do a wine tasting for them on a Saturday and on a Sunday morning. I don't know why he did it on the morning. He would bring out like 5 or 6 scotches and we would taste them. And we did this for about 4 years. So I tasted a good 20 to 25 scotches. And every time something was peated, I knew I wouldn't like it. I tasted it. I thought it was too smoky. That being said, I still stand by this does not have that crazy smokiness.
It's the finish. But here's the thing is,
I can smell it, and
has
I'm thinking
the crazy smokiness, but it's so well integrated.
I'm smelling it, and I'm going, I am not going to like this in any way, shape, or form. And I taste it, and I'm like, where's the smoke? Like, it's there, but it's, as you said, well integrated. It's nice to sip on. It doesn't stick in my throat. It doesn't burn going down. It's got everything that's nicely in balance. And I really appreciate that because, as I said, the first smell, I was like, oh boy, I'm not going to like this one.
And I think it's interesting because, like, I remember when that first bottle showed up at my house, I feel like you guys have really taken over the Ontario market in the past 5 years. I used to have to go out of my way. Okay, I'm out of Yoichi. I need to find a store to do it. And now it's available almost anywhere. So I'm guessing the Ontario market's been good for you guys?
I think so, yeah. Like, thankfully, our agent really helps to grow the brand. So we are quite happy with the progress. And I think thanks for the comments about the liquid. And I often hear similar feedback from when I do the tastings. Like some people said, "Oh, I don't really like peaty, like a peaty whiskey, but Yoichi, I can drink. They enjoy."
Well, there's a nice finish to it. There is, I can taste the peat still in my mouth, but it is not aggressively. It's not taking over my palate.
It's balance.
Just there.
I mean, you and I, we talk about balance with wine all the time, and like this is the definition of perfect balance.
Yeah, I think like it's not. It also kind of relate to our founders' philosophy and also the Japanese culture that bringing something outside into Japan and bring it into it's not something he just tried to copy. He just wanted to bring technique into Japan, and he tried to, how can I say, remaster or try to make it.
Put your own spin. Put your own spin on it. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, I think branding of our companies is also contribute to taste. We are blending about 20 whiskeys to create this liquid. So that is not really simple. And of course, the whiskey sometimes run out. Then we have to use another whiskey. But always the final taste have to be same every time. So that is because of a good blending, skills and expertise.
Good skills is right. So we should
Let's move on to the next
next
whiskey, because I know you guys have a meeting to get to after this. As much as I would love to talk whiskey all day, this is the Miyagikyo. How bad did I say that?
Miyagikyo?
You were pretty close. You were pretty close. Yeah.
Is that another region?
Yeah, it's in stay in the north part of Japan, but compared to Yoichi, a little bit down near the Sendai. It's in mountain compared to Yoichi. Yoichi is by the sea, but Miyagikyo is located in a beautiful in the mountain.
So, is this one available in Ontario, Andre? This one is okay.
Yes, it's regularly available. I've bought it a few times. I prefer Yoichi because it's oishi. This one
because it's Yoichi. Okay. Okay. See, I like the smell of this one better. Believe it or not.
So this is the Miyagikyo distillery is set up 35 years after Yoichi distillery was set up. So the business grew, and our founder was looking for the second place to make whiskey. And it was a project of his adopted son, Takeshi Taketsuru, who is originally a nephew of him, to find the best place to make to make a whiskey. And with a great contrast, Yoichi, as we mentioned already, is along the 1 mile from the seaside, and Miyagikyo is full of forest, which is great for maturing whiskies. And it's a junction of two rivers, which creates a great moist. So it's totally like a different climate. And as you mentioned, on your nose, it's quite different from Yoichi for sure. And majority of the cask, we're using an ex-sherry cask, which has more floral, fruity note on the liquid. So when you see both packages, Miyagikyo has pink-ish labels. These are the inspiration from the sherry cask we use.
Yeah, see, Andre, I've noticed as I go through my whiskey collection at home, Irish, Scottish, I notice a lot of the ones that I gravitate towards are in sherry cask.
And here's the thing for me is, I haven't noticed which casks I prefer. I've tasted plenty of whiskey in rum casks, sherry casks, port casks, and obviously love bourbon, but a lot less these days. So yeah, I haven't gravitated towards any specific cask. I think it's neat that you've already found your way along there.
Yeah, if it's a sherry cask on it, I'd be interested in trying it. I also like port casks as well, but I've noticed that sherry casks, because I do enjoy the occasional sherry, and it seems to be bringing something very interesting to the.
There we go. You're just ahead of me because I googled the location, and when you pull up the Nikka factory, the photos that come up are of pot stills instead of the coffee stills.
Yeah, exactly. So for both Yoichi and Miyagikyo, we use the pot stills for sure. And when you see the images, like Yoichi and Miyagikyo has completely different shapes. Yoichi has like a straight neck. Miyagikyo has a bulge
bit of
neck,
a bulge, yeah.
which creates a difference. And also the like heating method. Yoichi, as we said, it comes from the direct coal fire. Miyagikyo is a indirect steam, which has a like lower temperature to make the liquid like softer. So like a combination of the shape of the pot cells and the heating method also create the difference on the final liquid.
I think I'm going to have to revisit the Miyagikyo. I think I'll have to buy a bottle because I'm like I said, it's probably because I'm sharing this with you guys, but this is a lot better than I remember.
What is the price here in Ontario for it?
The price is $89.95.
Okay. All right.
And I mean, it's another one of those things where this may sound like a lot as people who typically talk about wine, but once again, when we're talking about Scotch whiskey,
you don't drink as much, right? Like
no.
If you think about what you drink versus Scotch versus, you have to think, of scale.
So I mean, people can figure out how much I'm drinking. A bottle of Yoichi in my house will last maybe 2-3 months. Like I'm not
You
drinking
lush.
a lot. Oh yeah, totally. So 26 ounces over 3 months that I'm sharing with my wife. I think that's a pretty good burn rate. But we're also drinking the From the Barrel, which I think we're going to be talking about next. But this is not peated, right?
It's very lightly.
It's lightly peated.
If
okay.
that's peated, you got me because I would have said no peat on that either. It's that I like that one better than your Yoichi. Sorry.
You don't have to apologize to me. I think it's great that you have one that you like better.
Well, I like them both, but if I had to pick, that's the one. And then we're going to move on, I think, to the From the Barrel, which has got the cutest little bottle. I love this square 500 ml bottle, which is
I love the From the Barrel.
Really cute.
I love the From the Barrel bottle.
And if I have to say, in one of the podcasts that we did, you poured the From the Barrel and right after the Yoichi, or was it?
Well, because I think we went the other way around because I was shocked that you liked the whiskey.
Well, because you said I would love to talk to these guys.
Yeah.
If they ever came to town, and thank you guys for coming to town. Not just for us, obviously, but that would have been really nice. But you poured me the From the Barrel, and I said, absolutely, we need to talk to these guys. This is great whiskey, and I even had you buy me a bottle while I was in Italy. So
yeah, so it's $64.95 in a 500 ml bottle. So if you do the math, it works out to about $80 for a 750. Before we talk about the flavor profile, why does it come in this bottle?
Is that the question about the bottle?
yes,
Oh yeah. So the concept, talking about the concept, so it relates to the concept. The concept is a small block of whiskey. So the original bottle comes with just the same size as you see now on the shelf. There is a famous designer involved making this design. So like in Japan, there is a bit of cultural feeling that if you go to a like omakase, very high-end dinner, you get like each small plate comes with a very small portion. That always we feel kind of resonate with the premium look and feel, and also the taste seems more rich and bold. So that kind of like a designer's thinking got into this shape of like a simple bottle. And it does look simple, but it's a very complex blending required to make the whiskey.
you said you gave us the history of the other two bottles of the single malts. What is the history of the From the Barrel?
So the From the Barrel was launched on 1985 We're actually now on 40th year anniversary. This was a masterpiece of the Takeshi Taketsuru, who is the son of Masataka Taketsuru, as I mentioned. He was looking for the whiskey, which will be what could be a great whiskey that people can fully enjoy. And he came up with the idea of whiskey from the barrel, coming from the barrel, would be the great, only a blender can taste, will be the great whiskey. Then, actually, this is not like a cask strength or anything like that. It's a blend of more than 100 whiskeys inside. But it is a very high proof, 51.4%. And the taste is really rich and bold. Even with the high proof, it's very, very smooth. The idea came from whiskey from the barrel with a rich taste, realizing with a blended whiskey. Was a kind of original idea from our second master blender.
So this is the whiskey that sold me on this brand.
It doesn't taste like a 51%, and I'm someone who I love putting whiskey on ice. If I'm out of ice, it's not a problem because this is still just very easy to drink. I think for me, when I put whiskey on ice, I just prefer the temperature of the whiskey to be a little cooler. But even at 51%, it doesn't need ice.
It's not a burn. One of my problems with whiskeys over the years has been that burn that is as it heads down your esophagus, you're like, oh my God, that really hurts. And this is like vanilla and caramel and creme brulee, and there's just so much. It's like unctuous and smooth and sweet, and I can't.
It makes your mouth and tummy happy.
It does, right? Like I'm getting that warmth in my stomach, but it doesn't hurt going down in my esophagus, which makes me want to go, oh, that hurts. I love this one. This one is this, as I said, Andre poured this for me, and I was totally sold. I said, okay.
We actually take a magic to make it smooth.
It's a little Harry Potter. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But here's the thing I find funny, like as a consumer, because you and I, we love spending money when there's value involved, right? And at $65, this is a bottle that I can keep in the house all the time. You know, like I talked about some other, we name dropped a couple of Scottish whiskeys that I like having around the house, but I can't afford to do that all the time, right? This is a bottle where I can keep it in the house. I can keep it to pour for my friends. I can keep it to pour for occasions. It's also affordable enough that if I decide to experiment and make cocktails with it, heaven forbid, I don't know why I would make a cocktail with this. No. I know, but I'm just saying, the price is perfect where you can experiment with this as a component or drink it on its own, and the quality is exceptionally high for the price.
Yeah, I'm shocked by this whiskey again. I made you buy me a bottle, and I'm happy I have that bottle.
But then there's more.
Yes,
apparently there's a special edition coming out.
So before we tasting the final liquid, we wanted to talk about the special process, the magic.
Let's do it. Let's hear the magic.
No one's going to steal it, right?
So in spite of the higher alcohol percentage, it's quite smooth. And this reason because of the special method we do, which we call marriage process. So normally after blended whiskey, then we bottle the liquid. But for from the barrel, after we blend it, then we keep the whiskey in a cask for some months. So that we call a marriage process. That makes the whiskey mellow and more harmonized. So that makes your taste smoother.
So you guys take your components for the whiskey, you blend it, and then you put it in another cask to
Again,
bring
yeah.
more harmony. And I see we've got a variety of casks in front of me. Which casks are used for the from the barrel?
Is that
So for the marriage process, we only use the old puncheon cask.
Old puncheon, so 500,
Like
and
500
500
liters.
liters.
So big barrels.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like we're not doing marriage with like a big tank or stainless steel. We only do with the new puncheon cask.
With new puncheons?
Oh, sorry, old puncheon
Old
cask.
puncheons, okay.
Sorry about
Just had to double check. So there's no additional oak influence from it. It's
Exactly.
just about
Exactly.
bringing harmony to the
Exactly.
blend. That's cool.
I was scared he was going to say that they use sherry puncheons, and I was going to go, oh damn it! I really do have a type.
Yeah, that's gonna kill like distort the liquid. Fine.
So again, this is, I would, yeah.
And is this the flagship for the brand?
Yeah, this is one of the most selling product outside of Japan.
From the barrel.
From Barrel, yes.
Yeah, as I said, as I went through Rome Airport, they had.
And here's the thing is, I know you love this brand because you messaged me to be like, is this price worth picking up right now? And it's just like, well, it's about the same as this
Yeah,
year.
it's the same here. Which was very surprising. So now this is something new that is. So I guess we're one of the first to taste it in Ontario.
You're the very first person to taste.
We're the first people to taste this in Ontario.
Okay, so this is and this is called and it's going to also be in a 500 ml bottle. It's going to called Extra Marriage.
Yeah. So from the barrel,
From the
extra
barrel
marriage.
is marriage. Now this is extra marriage. I've never heard of an extra marriage. Is that like your second marriage? You get divorced from your first wife, and you get that. Now you get the second marriage, and this is that one.
Yeah, like marriage is not always easy. Yeah. But for the from the extra marriage, so as Koji mentioned, normal Nikka from the barrel, we do a marriage process for just around 3 months. Extra marriage, which was a special release of celebrating 40th year anniversary of the brand. The only difference is the length of the marriage process. So this one has extra 3 months, which comes up
3
6
months.
months. So like a total 6 months.
So it's only 3 months longer than the.
Only 3 months longer, but
Okay.
you'll see
That's a short marriage.
No,
Yeah.
but listen, I'm this is where I'm constantly fascinated about the impact barrels have on liquid, right? Like whether it's wine or spirits. This is like exponentially smoother than the regular from the barrel. And the from the barrel is already smooth as we talked about. This is a very dangerous whiskey, gentlemen. People will forget that this is
I think
51% alcohol.
It is 51%. What's lost on this one is the caramel creme brulee butterscotch.
But it's replaced. Okay,
But it's
I'm
replaced-
a vanilla hunter, so for me, it's like way more vanilla.
Correct. So there's vanilla in here, but there's also like a really neat floral component.
Yeah, like orchid.
yeah, something-
Like it's a very, very tropical floral, but it's a very sweet.
and there's
floral.
almost there's a fruity component to it as well that I'm finding. Maybe
It's almost like banana,
yeah.
but like banana Foster.
yes, there you go. 'cause
Your
it's got a
favorite,
little-
like
yeah.
it's sweeter than even a sweet banana.
So basically a bananas Foster, which is basically creme
Bananas.
brulee bananas. So there's really, guys, you guys got to stop making whiskey. I'm going to be buying whiskey now. So.
no, keep making more whiskey. We've got to
Yeah.
we've got to convert Michael. So, I guess as we're wrapping, like I'm
So
really
yeah,
looking
like
forward to Extra Marriage coming
extra
to Ontario.
marriage was a kind of experiment to celebrate 40th year anniversary. It's a very good whiskey, but as you had a different feedback, like we're not saying that normal one, like it's better than normal one or vice versa. So it's kind of have a different, still same liquid, but slightly different characteristic just because of the marriage process. So it's a kind of a product to celebrate the core product. So it's kind of a, yeah.
It's a lovely, like it's something special that's a little bit different, and I'm looking forward to picking up a bottle, sharing it with friends. One thing I just want to wrap on, I guess, is sort of the last thing. that I thought was very interesting about this whole conversation. We have not once talked about the amount of time these whiskeys are aged, because that is something that is like a big deal in Scotland, whether it's a 10-year, a 15-year, or a 20-year. Same thing with JP Weiser's, even though like we did our interview with Dr. Don and he talks about blending, but still you can buy a Weiser's 10, 15, 18, 20. Why haven't we talked about aging? Is it just not important, or like philosophically, like the way you guys work is it's about making sure you're getting that consistent blend regardless of the age of the whiskey? Like, is aging an important part of your philosophy?
Aging is always important, of course, but for the normal expressions, so like for the Japanese regulation, we have to mature at least like 3 years to call it whiskey. But for those expressions, we range from like a minimum 3 years to longer than 3 years. So we don't necessarily put the naming like age on those expressions. We are back on having Yoichi 10-year-old and Miyagikyo 10-year-old. I think Miyagikyo is coming later this year.
To Ontario.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Cool.
I have one last question.
Okay, let's wrap it.
Here we go. I am let's just say I am a new consumer to Japanese whiskey. I've heard this podcast and I'm like, I've got to buy a bottle of Nikka. What is the one bottle that would best represent Nikka that I could buy today?
I think that is from the barrel.
From the barrel.
From barrel, yes. Of course, Yoichi is representing the distillery, but from the barrel is representing the founder philosophy and diversity, and also blending and maybe, 2 distilleries, whiskeys we blended, and so that is kind of representing.
Honestly, at the prices, you could buy both, and you're still cheaper than a bottle of Lagavulin.
I'm just trying to get somebody to come right in the front door and go, this is the one you should try.
Okay, Koji, Kuma, arigato very much for your time.
Thank you. Arigato.
This has been really, really cool. I thank you very much.
Thank you both.
I really
Thank you.
enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm really hoping that the next time I get to meet those two gentlemen are in Japan at the distillery. It's really cool when you get a chance to meet some people from a brand that you already like and you leave feeling more inspired than before the interview took place.
I was very I don't know if I was excited for this interview as much as I was interested because of the amount of Nikka whiskeys I've had. I think it was 3, and every one of them I liked, every one. And so to sit down with them and try the single malts, which again I liked, to try the From the Barrel again, which I liked, to try the Marriage, which I liked. Like, it's not often that you like everything that's put in front of you. There's usually something you go, ah.
Especially over such a broad range of styles. And like, I don't know, it's just something about Japanese ingenuity that I admire, that they can take a product invented somewhere else and put their own spin on it, and nobody's just like, oh, the Japanese just ripped off the Scottish. It's just like they've found a way to establish their identity, and I don't know. I want to give thanks to Rachel Woodman and Woodman Wine and Spirits for lining up the interview, helping to make that happen. We'll be keeping our eyes open for when the Extra Marriage comes to the LCBO.
I'm looking forward to when I'm in Europe seeing more Nikka whiskeys. Before we sat down and talked to them, I have a friend in Singapore, and I said we're talking Nikka, and they started telling me about all these other Japanese whiskeys that he has in his collection, showed me pictures, and I was like, I've never seen any of this. He said, oh, you should be able to get this. Taiwan is making a lot of whiskey as well. I think the Asian whiskey market is something we really should hopefully see here in Ontario and dive into if we ever see anything else.
I couldn't agree more. I'm André Proulx from AndreWineReview.ca, at André Wine Review on social media. Support this podcast, patreon.com/2guystalkingwine.
And I'm Michael Pinkus of michaelpincuswinereview.com. The great guy on most social medias. And Andre, as always, good night.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Two Guys Talking Wine on iTunes.
Two Guys Talking Wine is produced by Adam Duran and Ken Little.